And almost all the CSs, did they respect their oath of office back then when they were amassing wealth through offices that we fund? It is our taxes that pay these people. It is our money they steal. And that is why I'm so angry now, because it is our money that is being misappropriated and stolen. And they are making it look like Gachagua is the face of corruption, the face of tribalism, the face of evil, and is everything wrong with this government. Before Gachagua started speaking about the shareholding stories, it was not his idea. It was not I mean, Gachagua did not come up with the shareholding conversation we have today. The shareholding conversation has been in this country before, and quite elaborately put down in the Kenya Kwanza shareholding agreement, because they have such a document. It was circulated in public, everybody saw it. Amason Kingi signed it, Gachagua himself signed it, William Ruto signed it, Wetangula signed it. What were they signing? They were signing an agreement to share government appointed positions, an agreement to share resources and revenue depending on how many votes you brought to this government. And it is open knowledge to the public. And if that existed, the Speaker of the National Assembly is as guilty as Gachagua is. And Gachagua has no moral qualms with his stance on his harshness against Wetangula, because he knows he's right. He has no doubt in his mind that he is truthful. He has no doubt in his mind that Amason King is another shareholder. They just don't talk about it. Wetangula doesn't talk about his shareholding part. Amason King doesn't talk about his shareholding part, but they are shareholders in this government, and they have gotten their benefit as having brought some number of votes to this country. So they should stop crucifying Gachagua just because he is a guy who's so vocal on the shareholding stories. Doesn't mean that was his idea. It was an idea of so many people, the president included, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Speaker of Senate, Musalia Mudavadi. I mean, it is not a Gachagua issue. On the issue of tribalism, I know they have fronted this as a card against Gachagua, and I'm not here to sanitize Gachagua. I am just stating the fact as it is. Gachagua is not the only politician who is tribal in this country. You listen to the likes of Silvana Sosoro, the likes of Oscar Sudi, the likes of Rashid Echesa, the likes of Cleopas Malala. When they go to their backgrounds, where they come from, when they go to their constituencies, listen to what they say when they go home. Pay attention to what they say. You will understand that Gachagua is not the problem. All of them are the problem. How is it that now, because Gachagua has pushed for a share of Mount Kenya, and because he pushes the Mount Kenya agenda, is tribal? But when they were galvanizing support for the presidency in 2022 alongside ethnic lines, they were not tribal. Even today, when they address their people at home, they address them along ethnic conversations. And that is not construed as tribalism when they do that. But when Gachagua speaks about the Mount Kenya people and trying to secure their interest, is very tribal. That is absurd. That is, in fact, a play and a game that this government is playing with us. And this Gachagua issue is being tackled because Gachagua probably differed with most of them on tenders, on government investments, on developments that he thought were supposed to be appropriated to certain areas, probably to Mount Kenya, because he was pushing for their share. I've already told you it's a shareholding government, and they cannot sanitize themselves from this. And probably Gachagua differed with the president and most of the CSs and the guys who are close to the president, the likes of Farouk Kibet, the likes of Oscar Sudi, because of probably he felt they were blocking the door and his access to the president. And he also felt they were over pushing the agendas over him, who is the current deputy president. It is on record before that Nicholas Biwott, the then close ally of President Moi, was so close to Moi that you had to go through Biwott to get to the president. It is possible we have the same situation in this country, that we have folks Gachagua has to go through to get to the president. It is also possible there are MPs and CSs and state officers who feel they have a bigger command over the president than the deputy president, that whatever he says comes second to whatever they say, that his interest as deputy president, even the interest to his office, and liaison to the president, because the deputy president is a principal assistant and he needs to advise the president on several issues. it is possible that most of these people have been frustrating the deputy president because they feel probably he's too aggressive or he's a man who stands his ground. Because Gachagua has shown Kenyans that he's a man who stands his ground. He said he will not resign. Most Kenyans thought he was joking. If that assertive man goes against those that are close to the president, they have every interest to take him out. It is possible these are personal issues they are sorting with Gachagua. And it does not concern Kenyans because they are luring us and they are dissuading us from the issues that matter as a country, from the issues which we should be prosecuting as a country, from the issues we should be concentrating as a country, and we are warning them. All those MPs and all those CSs, now that in the comfort of government and the warmth of government think they are safe, they are not, because we are coming for them. We are going to recall those MPs and we are going to push for a dissolution of that cabinet, and we are even going to push for the impeachment of the president we have today, because it is constitutional to impeach the president. We are going to push him to resign because he is not serving our interests. He is a shareholder in this government. He is a tribal guy. He is a corrupt guy. It has been proven beyond doubt. Even Joe told us how corrupt the DP is when Ruto was the DP to Uhuru, and he is not willing to work with Ruto anywhere. I don't know what changed now. Joe is in government and sitting in cabinet with the same thief he was against. You understand the hypocrisy we have in these politicians. They know where the problem is. They do not want to deal with the problem. They know what is a priority. They would never want to deal with what is a priority. They want to pull us to their politics and to their games. Today, as we speak, counties have not received their fair share. Counties have not received the allocation they are supposed to get, because the Senate and the National Assembly cannot agree that the Senate proposes an increment of 20 billion shillings to the counties, bringing it to 400 billion shillings. National Assembly is not comfortable with disbursing 400 billion shillings to counties, but they are willing to disburse 1 billion shillings to projects that are not beneficial to this country. They are willing to give probably 70 billion shillings to SHIF, which is not a priority because we had NHIF, and if they wanted to upgrade NHIF and revamp it to suit probably the new insurance covers and the new additives that the government brought, they would have done that. They have money to give to SHIF, they have money to give to ministries that do not help us at all, but they do not have 20 billion shillings to give to counties. And this back and forth between the National Assembly and the Senate has forestalled counties. Today, as we speak, so many employees in counties have gone for months without pay. How are they surviving? How are they paying rent? How are they paying school fees? How are they paying their bills? And how is the governor? How are the governors able to pay these county staff without funding from the national government? Just because there is a tussle, a supremacy war between the National Assembly and the Senate. And it happens almost every year. This is not the first time that counties have found themselves in a cash crunch. It is not the first time, because the National Assembly and the Senate cannot agree on anything. They are almost always competing on which house is the upper house, who has more authority, who has more ego than the other, on things that are not important. But on matters impeachment, they are willing to agree. In fact, look at how expeditiously the National Assembly has dealt with the impeachment of Gachagua. In record time, within 2 weeks, they have been able to summarize, conclude, investigate, prosecute Gachagua, even faster than EACC, DPP and the DCI. In fact, Parliament should be our new DPP and our new DCI. They are so fast with these issues. And the Senate has quickly clicked the bait and taken over the impeachment process. Today they were discussing that impeachment in Senate. But they cannot agree on matters of importance like disbursement of funds to county governments. They cannot agree on a matter as important as that, because they are the ones killing devolution. They said Gachagua is undermining devolution because Gachagua went to a market in Muthurwa and said that these market traders were not consulted thoroughly before the county government of Nairobi decided to relocate them from Muthurwa to Kangundo market. He was protecting the interest of those traders. Whether they are Kikuyu or Kisii or Luo or Kamba, they are in the same market. If he goes there and probably most of the people from Mount Kenya identify with him and decide to show him love and support as a man from their area, I am not pushing tribalism here, but I'm saying if people from Mount Kenya decide to show love to Gachagua at Muthurwa market, I mean, what is wrong with that? If Raila goes to a market in, say, Kisumu, or a market that is dominated by Luos, I know Muthurwa has so many traders, but we know most of them are from Mount Kenya. That is a fact. Even though you would want to bash me for this, that is a fact. If Raila Odinga goes to a market that is dominated by our good people from the Nyanza region, and they decide to show him love, and he decides to address them in Dholuo, what is the problem there? Yes, it was not okay for Gachagua to appear to pull the tribal card with the Muthurwa market relocation, but he was trying to protect their interests. How is he undermining devolution when he says the traders should have been consulted thoroughly before the county government of Nairobi decided to relocate them to Kangundo market? Because the traders themselves are not satisfied. They are not satisfied. They are saying whatever was discussed was not concluded. It was not conclusive, and they did not agree to be relocated to Kangundo market. Probably they feel Kangundo market is so far away. Kangundo market is in Umoja, if I'm not wrong. Kangundo market is alongside Kangundo Road. It is not a stone throw away from the CBD. It is far away from the CBD. If the traders in Muthurwa market feel they will lose so much business relocating to a market that is so far away from town, what is wrong with the deputy president siding with them and saying these traders deserve equity, these traders deserve some fairness, and it is unfair to remove traders from this market to a market that is so far away? We have so many government lands around Nairobi. They would have been relocated to another area that is not so far away. I do not want to dig deep on that issue, but Gachagua addressed that issue. And I have said I am not here to sanitize Gachagua. I am here to say the facts as they are. So Gachagua did not undermine devolution. In fact, your MPs, the same MPs Kasmuel praised, are the ones that are undermining devolution. It is on record that year after year after year after year, the National Assembly and the Senate must always push each other back and forth, till it's close to 6 months spent before they release money to county governments. Why do we have to be treated to this debacle almost all the time? Why this fracas? Why can't they agree on issues that are of interest to Kenyans? If they cannot agree on things that are of interest to us as Kenyans, I think it is about time we decide to recall all these MPs or find another way of removing all of them from office. These two houses are not serving us. These two houses are not serving our interests. They are serving their own interests, and they are probably being pocketed by the executive to push the agenda of the executive. That is why they expedite matters of the executive. That is why they are so fastidious on matters that are pushed to us by the executive. But on issues that are of importance to us as Kenyans, they don't care. They are never in a hurry. Yeah.
And let me maybe ask about the Adani issues.
So you see, today on the Daily Nation, on the first page, this is not related to Adani, but we want to bring this to attention before we tackle Adani. The DPP, Renson Ingonga, I am not sure that is his name, but I hope that is his name, is on record. He is trying to withdraw a 7.6 billion graft case against Jevanjee. This is not the first time the DPP is withdrawing cases against guys who've been charged and companies that have been charged before. It is not the first time. It looks like a politically instigated move by the executive or by the powers that be to sanitize some fellows. You saw the other day the case by John Waluke was acquitted. The case was concluded at the Court of Appeal, and he was acquitted despite incriminating evidence without measure. He was convicted by the High Court because there was substantial evidence to jail him. He was fined, I think, 1 billion shillings, and also he was also sentenced to 67 years in prison. But he was acquitted by the Court of Appeal on what grounds? On what grounds? I mean, when you look at the shenanigans that happen in this country, you feel like you want to kill yourself. So the DPP has been withdrawing cases left, right, and center, probably at the behest of the executive, because it does not make sense that these guys have been convicted. There is enough evidence to put them behind bars, but you want to withdraw their cases. As who? The DPP serves us. He's a public officer. Why does it seem he is serving some powers? On the issue of the PPPs, this is not the first time as Kenyans we are being treated to PPPs. On the Daily Nation page 15, there is a good columnist who's tackled that whole issue. I don't remember his name, but I stand in awe. He has coherently and articulately gone and taken his time to write to us all the PPPs we've had as a country and the PPPs that are to come, warning Kenyans to be vigilant on the whole issue of PPPs. Because according to that columnist, there were PPPs for the Nairobi Mau Summit during Uhuru's time that did not take off. There was another PPP on the Nairobi Mombasa Road that was supposed to be done by Brechen. There was another PPP. Those two PPPs were frustrated because of political gatekeepers in the Uhuru regime who felt their interests were not being served, because there are people who look at PPPs as a way to make money. There is a clause in the Kenyan constitution that allows fellows to manipulate PPPs to their favor, so that they are supposed, because that clause says the Kenyan people should have a certain shareholding in any private company that is trying to invest in this country, whether it is a domestic company or a foreign company. The Kenyan people should have a share in that, and probably the government should have a share in that PPP. And that is what has been manipulated by politicians over and over and over to get money to their pockets through PPPs. And the two PPPs for Nairobi Mau Summit Road and the Nairobi Mombasa Road did not take off because the gatekeepers in Uhuru's government did not agree. Let me show you. During Uhuru's government, there was a plan to lease for 30 years the Mombasa Port, Terminal 1 for 30 years. It is the same thing Ruto is proposing through the Adani deal. Sometimes I confuse Uhuru and Ruto because they are one and the same thing. Uhuru was as bad as Ruto is. I will not sanitize him here. He was supposed, he had a plan in his government to lease the Mombasa Port Terminal 1 for 30 years. Go read for yourselves. Daily Nation page 15. And if that deal went through, this will not be the first time we would be discussing infrastructures that are crucial and critical to this country given over to PPPs. This will not be the first time. It is unfortunate or fortunate that it is Ruto we are crucifying on the Adani PPP deal, but he is not the first guy to propose that. He's actually copying his boss. And that columnist was thorough and to the point that this Adani deal probably has given the kickbacks to this government as they wanted. It is possible they have also gotten the shareholding clause I alluded to before as they wanted. Because if they did not, they would not be pushing for the Adani company to get a share in almost every part of government by hook and crook. If they did not get their kickbacks, if they did not get their shareholding agreement in the PPP, they will not be pushing for this. And that columnist is on point, saying that this is not the first time, it is not the last time that PPPs will be proposed in this country as an alternative to public financing of projects. I understand PPPs come in when government cannot fund almost all projects, because government does not have all the money to fund all the projects. That is true. Government cannot have all the money with the debts that we have, because we have so many debts. We need PPPs, but can we have PPPs that are beyond blame? Can we have PPPs that are reputable? Can we have PPPs that cannot be blamed for anything? Can we have PPPs that are holding the best interest of Kenyans at heart? Because we have them. The China Road and Bridge did the expressway. It was a good PPP, and the expressway is running nicely. We have private companies and we have individuals in this country who can do that airport and almost every other infrastructure project that needs to be done in this country with their own money. Jevanjee proposed to do the airport. He has the 238 billion, or he knows how to raise the 238 billion. The government is not willing to give Jevanjee the airport because probably Jevanjee has not to talk to them nicely. We have the African Development Bank that funds projects. The ADB has money to fund us the 238 billion shillings that the airport needs. They do not want the proposal by the NDB Bank. There is, we can also raise that money domestically, because it doesn't make sense that we cannot raise 238 billion shillings to upgrade our airport. We can raise that money in phases. It is not a must to upgrade the entire airport in record time, because Adani is actually going to upgrade this airport for close to 10 years. So what is stopping the government from doing the airport in phases? Wanaweza fanya phase 1 2023 to 2024. Wanaweza fanya, because Ruto will go for another term. Ruto will get another term. They can do the phase 2 in 2025 to 2026. They can do the phase 3 2027 to 2028. Why are we being pushed to give everything to Adani while the government can fund this in phases? Ama Ruto anaona hata rudi 2027. It is a legacy project. He wants to give Kenyans, that I understand. The same legacy Uhuru gave to Kenyans with the SGR project and the expressway. Ruto is looking for a legacy project. That we understand. But there are countries that do not have, that are not as shady as Adani, not as corrupt as Adani, that we could get to fund the airport deal. We have Tata Sons and Tata Sons Limited. We have GTR, and we have the African Development Bank, and we have companies in this country that can pool resources to fund that Adani, even in phases. The Safaricom consortium consisting of Safaricom, Adi Lawanja, and this other company. I don't remember the other company. The wife to David D. Mwende Gatabaki, the company she owns, is able to pool 104 billion for the SHIF. We have that tells us we have people and companies in this country that can pool together to get the 238 billion shillings. If they can get 104 billion shillings for SHIF, we can get 238 billion shillings for the airport. We do not have to lease this airport to Adani for 30 years. It does not make sense, and it is a conduit to steal our resources, because we will be paying for flights and we'll be paying for services at JKIA. Where will that money be going for 30 years? We have already complained enough how Kenya Airways has always been making losses year after year after year after year after year. What will change when Adani gets this airport? In fact, now that they have gotten Ketraco, electricity prices will soar up. It is on record that in Gujarat, prices of electricity have gone up. Why are we giving them our supply lines of electricity? Probably we will soon give them KenGen and soon give them KPLC. There is no difference between Ketraco, KenGen and KPLC. They all collaborate together to give us electricity. If we've given them Ketraco, I mean we'll give them KPLC, because they will say we need to be the ones charging electricity, because KPLC only comes in to charge you for electricity.